since the beginning of the mobile phones era, they came in different sizes and shapes. And now this is the era of smartphone, and we have this kind of smartphone these days, and they're called the flip. Let's see how practical they are and how useful this form factor is. Thanks to Comilla Mobile Zone and Rdx Rahul for sponsoring this video. More about them later in this video, and you can also check them in the description below. So this is what your typical smartphone looks like. They're just simple, they look like a slab, and they're just boring. So there is no actual physical stuff that can make you happy. In the last couple of years, the smartphone technologies has improved very much. They're much more capable, much more powerful, and they can compare with some real life computer from the past. But as we move to the smartphone world, we haven't seen that much of funky elements in smartphones like we had to see during the golden era of Nokia, and some other companies used to launch some ridiculous toy-like smartphones back in the days. Apart from making phone calls, internet browsing, and messaging, they used to serve some different stuffs also, because they had a very interesting form factor which you might use as a fidget toy. Nokia started refreshing their fun phones lately with this kind of form factor, like this is the flip phone, right? The Nokia Flip 2027, I guess. And this is a very good looking feature phone which might not serve all the functionalities you might need as a daily driver. So this phone has its category, but this thing cannot serve you entirely, because you can use them as a daily driver as we are used to today's modern smartphones. Lately, but Samsung has came up with their folding mechanism. They are interesting, fun to use smartphones. Yeah, the latest smartphones. These are actually flagship quality smartphone, and they perfectly fits in your pocket. Like this smartphone has a really tall 6.71 inch display, but you can fold it into a form factor that has the footprint of your wallet. And for the first time ever, I could set my phone and my wallet in the same pocket. You may know or might not know that I keep my wallet in my front pocket. So one pocket is occupied by my wallet and the other pocket is occupied by my smartphone. So I don't have any room in my front pockets. But with this smartphone, I can put my wallet and the smartphone in the same pocket, and I have room for other stuffs on my other pocket. That's really nice touch. So I've been using this Z Flip 3 for the last couple of days now, and this video is about my experience, how it was, and does this checks all the boxes to become your daily driver. So this thing actually came up with the third generation of Samsung foldables, and Samsung has already launched their fourth generation of folding phones. If you want to see me with that, please hit that like and subscribe button, obviously. So the feature is foldable, that's what Samsung says. Obviously these phones are very funky and interesting, and you can obviously use them as a fidget toy. Like, this is really satisfying. And they also offer some unique feature that is not possible with the traditional brick-like smartphones as we are used to. We'll be talking about that later. But the question is, are they actually gonna replace your traditional smartphone? Do they have the same experience, or is it better than that? Let me know what you think in the comments below. So we have seen different types of folding phones this year. There is a lot of phone that has this interesting form factors. Like we had the Motorola Razrs, they are the folding phones obviously, and Samsung dropped their folding phones also. The original Samsung Fold was kind of mess. They didn't work very well, but Samsung has improved their folding phones. On the next year, they launched the Z Fold 2 along with a flip phone which they call the Z Flip 2. And this year is the Samsung Z Flip 3, and they have evolved quite a lot, and we are at a point that we can say that these phones can actually meet your requirements, and they're capable of being your daily drivers. We also get to see some rollable phone where the display rolls inside and also rolls outside to give you a bigger display. And the entire idea is that you can get a bigger display when you unfold your phone, and you can also use them with folded. So you get two in one, like the convertible cars. The bigger foldable, I mean the book style foldable we have seen has really very potential. Like I have seen some business persons use that, and I've also seen my teacher using that to demonstrate some images and figures to the students, and also the students can use it all. Like there are some times when you can carry your tablet with you. With that book style foldable phones, you can carry both inside your pocket. So the biggest downside of these foldable phones is that the inner display, like they have to make this display as flexible as possible, and as a result these displays are not that strong. They are very soft material, and fingernails can scratch the display. So that's the thing to consider whenever you're thinking about any foldables. But things has improved since then, and the newer generation foldables has much more better displays, so you can take that for granted. Now how does this foldable phones impacts in our daily life? In my use cases, I have seen that I actually love this kind of form factors, and this foldable mechanism is so useful when you're taking selfies. I mean, taking selfies with the rear camera with full resolution and the full capacity of your main camera. Like, we already know that the selfie cameras on the smartphones are not that much good as their rear cameras. So even though we have a very good rear camera, we can get better selfies. As foldable phones offer a outer displays, you can use that display to monitor yourself while taking selfies, and that has been very useful. And this kind of form factor, Samsung has integrated some software features while you can use the screen as splitted, and that gives you an opportunity to use like a laptop, stuff like that. But they have some useful functionalities also. The Samsung foldables are really very solid and feels premium in hand, and obviously you can flip open this phone, which is really very attractive when you are in public, and this thing is really a conversation starter. And even though it has those fun factors, this is not deprived in any sectors. Like, this thing has two 12 megapixel cameras. One is the main sensor and another one is the ultra wide sensor. The main sensor does offer an optical image stabilization, and under the hood this thing packs up a Snapdragon 888, and in day-to-day performance and even with hardcore usage, this thing actually nails. But what this thing actually lacks is that the battery backup. Like, this thing offers only 3300 milliamps battery because, you know, this form factor, and they have to set up a hinge in between, so they have split the battery in upper portion and the bottom portion, so they couldn't feed a bigger battery. In the newer Z Flip 4 has a better battery, and the newer 8 Plus Gen 2 is much more efficient chip than the Snapdragon 888, so you can expect some better battery out of that. But that's not the case about the book style foldable phones, because they have more real estate in there, so they can use it for better cooling, and also they have much better battery. You can expect a better battery backup from those phones. And one of the beneficial thing of having this kind of foldable phones is that you have an outer display which doesn't serves you the full functionality, so there is a restriction between using the phone with unfolded and just staring at it with the outer display right here. So when you get any notification and maybe calls, you already know who is calling you and what is the notification, so this thing can help you to concentrate in your job. Since I started using this Z Flip 3, I got new styles of taking photos. Like, this thing acts as a tripod while you're taking photos, and you can obviously use the rear camera for better quality selfies. And now this thing is actually a true flagship, so there is no doubt in performance and other stuff, but the Snapdragon 888 actually heats up pretty fast. I think all the major components are sitting here, so whenever you are actually charging the phone or maybe using it for an heavy task or even some normal tasks also, this thing gets really hot. And I'm not a very big fan of the side mounted fingerprint. Like, this thing actually limits what you can do with your lock button or the side key, what Samsung says. And this thing has no IP rating, but the newer foldables does have IP rating, so that might not be an issue. But I can't use the smartphone in rainy condition. Like, I'm not a big fan of taking my phone into the swimming pool, but I might need to use my phone while it's raining outside, so that's a downgrade for me. So in day-to-day demands like taking photos, using social media apps, playing some games, the performance inside this phone is really excellent, and the photos and videos coming out of the smartphone is really very great, and I'm very happy to see that this thing doesn't lack in anything. Now with the Snapdragon 888 and this 3300 milliamps battery, this thing only gives me about 2 hours of screen on time, which is really not very handy, because you need at least 4 hours of battery life of your smartphone regarding using it properly. If you have these flip phones, like you have to charge all the time. Thanks God that this thing features a wireless charging pad on the back, which also can reverse charge other stuff, but so like this thing cannot keep up itself, so let alone charging other stuff. So as it has a wireless charging pad, and if you're not a very hardcore user, you can keep wireless charger everywhere you go, and anytime you are not using your smartphone, just put it on your wireless charging pad and this thing will charge. This is not very handy, but this thing is doable if you're not a very heavy user. Now there comes to the point, like this thing features a Snapdragon 888, and this SoC is meant to be heavy and hardcore usage. What is the whole point? So the other thing I don't like about the smartphone is that the button position. They had to set the hinge mechanism in between, so they have raised the buttons quite a lot, which is out of reach kind of, even with this bigger hands, I can't get myself comfortable with this button. And like other minus thing like the stereo speaker, they work fantastically. There is no headphone jack, obviously. This is a flagship, and flagship don't feature headphone jacks. The other minor thing like the fingerprint sensor is really quite fast and accurate, also what is expected in this price segment. And they also feature some software based face unlock, which also works flawlessly. And in terms of software support, you know, Samsung, they gives a very good software support, and the user interface and the One UI on this thing is really fantastic. So what is my take on the foldable smartphone situation on this thing, and the Samsung mocking Apple for not having any foldables in their lineup? I guess obviously foldable serves some special functionalities out of the standardized smartphones, but I don't think that the foldable is a must or essential for many people. People won't want to spend $1,000 or more on this kind of fidget toys, which also serves as a smartphone. Like yeah, they obviously offer some extra quirks and features, but I don't think that the foldables will take over the smartphone market very soon. Like we'll prefer usability over the funky or aesthetic stuffs. So I guess these flip phones are more practical than their folding counterparts, but this thing doesn't offer that much in spite of regular usability. If you want to spend your money for these fun stuffs, you can obviously go for it. Obviously the newer foldable will offer much better experience than this one, and maybe in 2 or 3 more years this thing will be that point where it can replace your regular brick style smartphones. But I don't think that a foldable is a must thing, and this thing will take over the entire smartphone market. So if you want to buy your next smartphone for a better and reliable price, and you want to save some money on your next purchase, and a refurbished smartphone is just okay for you, you can obviously check out the sponsor Comilla Mobile Zone and Jesan Telecom. They are offering all kind of smartphones. You can also get brand new smartphones and refurbished one. They have all range of smartphones and accessories, so go check them out from the links in the description below. And huge thanks to Rahul and Yeasin Uddin Jesan for making this collaboration to happen. See you soon with some new interesting videos. Till then, stay good, keep good, and keep doing incredible things. And yes, of course, keep watching incredible videos.